Sound speeds, and welcome to Stories from Set, where we talk to real sound pros and ask them to tell us real stories from set. Now, this week we have a special guest with us, Cooper Andrews, who you may know as Yo-Yo on Halt and Catch Fire or Jerry on The Walking Dead. But what you might not know is that he started in sound. Believe it or not, he was a boom operator. So, Cooper, thanks for joining us, and can you tell us some of your sound adventures?
Yes. All right. So this was in 2012 or 13 or so. I was in New York with family, and I got this phone call from my mixer saying, "Hey, man, I need you to come down to Atlanta, and we got to shoot this movie called Plus One." And I thought Plus One was going to be a romantic comedy about someone who was invited to a wedding, and they brought their date was the ex of the groom or the bride. This is a movie about people whose doppelgangers from 30 minutes ago are about to meet each other, and they're going to fight for supremacy of that person's identity.
Okay. I've never seen it.
Yeah, so it's funny. That's where I first met Logan Miller, who's a friend of mine. He played Benjamin on season 7 of Walking Dead, and this is where we first meet. And pretty much, these are night shoots, and that's a helicopter. So I'll speak it up, but
yeah, of course, it would happen on a sound channel, right?
Naturally, of course. Oh, is that the sound guy? Yeah. So we're doing night shoots. So the first thing that you always hear as a when you know that things are getting ready is camera, pictures up. That's so everyone sort of gets in their places. And when I hear pictures up, I have my boom out. I'm getting ready. I then see the background actors, the extras, taking off their shirts, and I'm talking about the women. And so I had no idea what this movie was about. Let me just put it there. So I'm now booming this speech and all these people. And the thing I like to do as a boom op, I always kept my pole. I tried to stay as far away from the actors as I could. So I kept the pole longer. And that also made it lighter for me to do it that way. So I'd have a counterbalance on this side. And then it just made it easy. So I didn't have to muscle everything because my muscles are precious. And so all these people are taking off their clothes. And I step on a Yellow Jacket's nest. And now I have this boom going above my head, and now I just see these things, these Yellow Jackets flying over my face. And the thing I don't want to do more than get stung is do this take again because of Yellow Jackets, because then I know greens are going to get in and they're going to have to, fix it and spray it down. So I was like, all right. So I'm booming.
A while to reset and everything.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I want to go home. It's night shoots. You never want to be there all night, but you usually are. And I remember I had 3 PAs silently and slowly come up to me like this, and they just took their sides and just started waving these Yellow Jackets away from me as I'm trying not to get stung. And when I say there were a lot, I mean it looked like I got hit in the head, and I didn't get stung. Magically, I did not get stung, but that was one of those moments when I realized I love sound, and I don't want to get stung for this, but I really don't want to do this scene again. You do these 6-minute takes with your arms above your head, and you're just beat. So 6 minutes used to be the long time for me. So a week later, I'm working on this show, which I later got to become an actor on, called Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell. Yeah. And I'm stuck between 2 cameras, and we have no utility. We have a utility, but they're brand new. It's like an intern utility. And I'm standing between these 2 cameras, and I have 1 actor here, and they're ad-libbing, by the way. This is a comedy, and 2 actors for the other camera. I now have to, I'm going to set this down here. This Mac breaks. I don't think I'm going to cry about it. Perfect. Okay. So I couldn't fit another person. The only thing I could do was just take 2 boom poles. This was how it had to be done. So I have my 1 actor here who talks a mile a minute. I set my boom like this. And then I have those 2 actors over there talking, and I have to extend it by 2 sticks or so. And I now have to make sure it's staying here, and I have to get between the two actors as they're all ad-libbing between each other. Now, me being an actor helped with this a little bit because I can see kind of where it was going. But, you know, the other thing, though, there's a boom op that I use as a trick a lot when I've done I worked with a certain multimillionaire who doesn't like to do rehearsals and writes scripts. It rhymes with Byler Berry.
Gotcha. Yes, very familiar.
Yeah, so there's this thing that I do when, if you don't know your lines well, a lot of actors do this right before they speak. I'm going to get right up close for it. A lot of actors do this move. And when I see an actor do that right before they talk, LA weather.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
Raining helicopter.
It's as if I knew you were going to be on a sound, channel doing a recording.
This is our life. By the way, this is all run by sound. So if we're doing a production and you hear a helicopter, that's sound's fault. By the way, just so you know, everyone.
Awesome.
Yeah, we control flight. If you didn't know that, yeah, we control the flight patterns of planes and helicopters. Anyway, I have these two actors talking. I did a 8-minute take where I had to go between these guys, talking here and having this guy go. And I remember the first AC, he was looking down at the camera. And the first AC, they're the ones that pull focus for camera, and he's doing this, and then I don't know if they were in focus or not, but he was definitely paying attention to me. He was definitely paying attention to me on that, and I had no clue if I could do it. And it got to the point where I was sweating so hard, and I was so exhausted that I was like, please let this end. And yeah, so
you were actually booming with 2 different booms.
Yes.
On 2 different people.
3 different people.
3
2
different
booms,
people.
3 people.
Now this has actually been coined. I've heard this phrase being uttered on the internet, and I picked it up and started using it as well, calling that the Cooper. As a matter of fact, sometimes you'll see people post it, and I make sure I say, "Oh yes, the Cooper, named after Cooper Andrews,"
Yeah.
because that was actually a legendary thing that we all knew about, and we all heard about you doing it. And people who have tried it are like, "Oh yeah, I can't do this right."
Yeah, it's a hard move, and you do it when there's no choice. But sometimes a wire will go down, and and you can't you can't whip it, back and forth fast enough. So that's when you break out the guns, and you get as best you can, because unfortunately,
and of course, 8-minute takes are not something that Byler Berry, I think you said his name was, does. He doesn't do short takes at all.
No, 8 minutes would have been nice for that. No, my longest take, this is not a joke. We did a show called Love Thy Neighbor. Great people on it. I love it. But Tyler came on for an episode as Medea, and and he's fast. He's fast with everything he does. But we shot 2 episodes, or 1 episode twice in 1 hour 58 minutes or so, and I wanted to make sure it sounded right. So it was me booming 1 hour 58 minutes. I will say between the 2 episodes there was a 2-minute break. We did have that, but
at least they were nice and gave you that.
Yeah, gave us a rest. It was me and 2 of my buddies. So we'd have the stages, the stages set up. So there'd be 2 to 3 booms per scene, and you don't have enough time to learn these scripts, and you don't see a rehearsal. So you just have to start feeling out the show, and that's the thing as an actor also, sort of try to feel out. Like my character on Walking Dead, I have to feel out where I fit in that story. We have a lot of tough guys. We have, these big emotional scenes, and I also had to make sure that the comedy wasn't too comedic. So you feel it out. And so as a boom operator, I would feel out. I would use that same technique and feel out who would be talking more. It's like, all right, well, in this scene, this is the person that they're yelling and arguing, and I know it's going to be mainly on them. And because I know they're going to be yelling more, I don't have to be right on top of them. When it's
Oh yeah, you can give them some air. Yeah.
yeah, when it's a clean studio and and there's no air conditioning running or helicopters flying, you can get on axis from a decent distance. So I had to do this trick a lot, which was here, and then I'd whip it, and then I would start moving in closer, just so I can get that presence of the voice. So you definitely learn about that on that show. But yeah, average takes on there were maybe anywhere between as nice as 15 minutes to as as painful as 45 minutes, and that was what we did. Yeah, that was a
Now you also had free reign to, even when you did crazy stunts and things, you had free reign to put plants out all over the place.
Yes, they oh my goodness, yes. So I got to do some things with a lot of the transmitters that people probably didn't know they could do. Like, what did I do? I stuck a COS 11 on a tire, the well above the tire, as it was about to be crashed into another car, and it came out awesome, so good, and it didn't get crashed. I got, I'll make sure I send you these photos of these things I did. I took photos of everything. The car, the car dented right where right where you thought it would, and the wire was fine. The transmitter was fine. I once stuck a transmitter at the end of where I thought a car would land after it flipped on its side and slid forward. I stuck it under a leaf. I took a heavy leaf and put some I just made sure it was like hard down on top of the transmitter. So there's a leaf on the road, and this car is going maybe like 15 miles an hour, not like, which is fast, but enough to hit, and then it turns and it slid this far away from the leaf. And so while everyone was like this, the sound crew on that show is 13 people, and you need them. Everyone's like so we do little things like that, and it came out sounding great. But we knew that the sound wouldn't have a chance to get captured for certain things, and we didn't know what post would do. So we decided to just make sure we got that sound just in case. But it's something that I can't imagine mixers would freely do with their own equipment.
Oh no.
So they can take
gear is a lot better than using a mixer's gear that's going to say, no, let's be safe about this. You can go for it in those circumstances.
Right. Exactly. Like they make it. I'm trying to get out of the sun here.
Yeah, no worries.
But yeah, no, they make it so that it's like, here's everything you can record with, get all the sound, and which is something,
explosions and everything.
Explosions, everything, and they use them. And it's things that I'm not used to. Those are things I'm usually like, oh, they'll, post will have that sound effect ready, but they don't know. And so we really don't know what happens. So it's like, we gotta just record this. I put another one in the grill of this car that hit a ramp and drove through a house that went on fire, and it was fine. Everything was fine. We used the SMs. It was fine. And what else did I do? I prided myself on this. I loved putting plants anywhere I could to get away with things. I've stuck them in, I've put in people's cups. I'll maybe, like, if there's like a napkin on a table and they're talking, I might just like have the napkin look a little more ornamental, so it's not like flatware, but it's like, hey, can we, you dress it up a little bit, So if you know some cool napkin folding tricks, like how to do like a swan or like a little fortune cookie style of napkin, and you show them that you can do that, they're like, oh yeah, if you do the other one, you might be able to get away with that. And then I can put the little plants and just stick the little gooseneck out from inside that. So I've done things like that and stuff, which is always fun. Getting those up.
That's really awesome that you actually were able to get away with that and they used it.
Yeah. And sometimes it gets as gritty as, like, taking like last minute things where you don't, like, there's so many times where production will flip it and like, oh, we just had that meeting at lunch. Well, we didn't know that. We gotta, you gotta think really fast. So it'd take many times I'd have to take my cement out of the its holder, and then I would take the boom plug and stick it in, and then like find a spot and just like hide it for like last second sound. I've climbed a tree and hung from. This is when I was a lot more athletic, but like hung from a tree while I boomed a conversation because it was so high up and we didn't have wires. Wires for me, I guess, like people using lavs and everything. That became that was something that started becoming more common a few years after I started. I guess like it used to just be, push the fader up.
The boom and plants, and that was what it was.
Yeah, and it was a lot of that. And so I did this with Todd Weaver. We did this episode of where we were day playing for Drop Dead Diva, and we go in and they're like, "How many wires are you guys gonna be using?" And Weaver goes, "None." He's like, "We got." I was like, "Well, what is it? We're just gonna use the boom." And I remember booming. I was like, it was simple dialogue, and it was between 3 or 4 people, and I'm like, yeah, it's like they're not gonna like mix it up, just show up prepped. But that was when we were doing second unit stuff for people, and I remember doing a night shoot of Teen Wolf, and then us driving to Drop Dead Diva for the morning. So we did a lot of that. We've all done that show.
Oh yes.
Or that style of last minute. Oh, hey, you want to do this other job? I was like, yes.
And you were also notorious when you had your boom. You were notorious for wearing it like a samurai sword would carry his sword on his back.
I would take a string and I'd make a just a little slip knot, or like a yo-yo style finger knot. And so when I would put it on my back, and that way, I can set up plants, I can adjust a wire quickly. I don't have to find the boom. I don't have to. I just like to have it on me. Plus, I'm used to having weapons on my back as a general thing, so I was used to that. So,
which also makes it easier for you to wear the axe right now, as Jerry
right.
Walking Dead.
Yes. It's like having a boom. Pretty much, but I don't want to sound like, oh yeah, no, I just carry weapons around my back. But it's something I was used to.
Casually, that's how you dress normally.
Yes, that's just my normal like going out. Maybe fight some people wear. But yeah, there's a lot of situations where your utilities like, I think everyone's fine. You guys good? Yeah, we're good. Everything sounds good. All right, I'm gonna hit the head because I've been holding it all day. And it's like, all right, cool. And then, oh, battery drop. Something just happened. And then like, instead of me having to like go to my stand or whatever and put it in and then walk over, I was able to do quick adjustments in seconds, just because I would just sling that on my back and put it up. And when I was using it as a boom, I was able to tighten the string. And so I'd put my fingers under the string and between the string and the boom itself. And that's how I boomed, and so I didn't have to hold it and like rest it on my foot or, lug a bunch of stuff around. So I just I had a giant utility belt. So that way when I was done, I would take it off, like it was lunch. That thing was off me, but now I was degacked immediately. And I kept a football, like a quarterback's or wrist play guard on my forearm. There's some sides where I just couldn't, I'd forget who is speaking. So when you do night shoots, I call it the moron hour, where no matter how good you are, no matter how quick and fast thinking you are, when night shoots come, everyone is at 80%. Their 100% is going to be 80%. And I feel like that people just lose it. So
at best.
At best. And when I did these night shoots, I would have this football forearm thing, and I would see it from here. And sometimes you could put your phone in it too if you have the sides on there. But I would just look at the sides and know who I'd have to talk. So I'd quickly, because you would just forget, like, who's next? Who's talking next? Yeah, okay. And I would do that. So I had all these little gadgets I wanted to have on me.
Now, am I remembering correctly that you used to have a lightsaber that you kept on your belt as well?
It was a sonic screwdriver.
That's what it was.
Yes, I kept the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith's extendable sonic screwdriver, and I had a place for it next to my flashlight. Now, I did this for two reasons. One, obviously, I wanted to become an actor. I wanted that to be my thing. And I also always want to remember that movies are fun. TV shows, they're fun. You're doing a job of make-believe. We're all serving this fantasy story, no matter what it is. Even if it's, based on true story, we're still telling something. We're telling a story. I want us to remember that, if you want to be super work-like and super business-like, then take it to the office. You're on a set where people get to use their imagination, get to be creative. So I like to keep that toy on me. Now, the second thing I like to do is I would tell people, as I adjusted their mic already with the phone, the phone app, I would use
the RML app. Yeah.
Yes. And I would use the sonic screwdriver to tell them I'm muting them. And I was like, all right, we're just going to do this. And you might have an actor, who's having they just have a bad day. You don't know what their deal is. And every time I'd pull that out, they'd be like,
never happens with an actor. They're always in a great mood.
Yeah. Yes. All of them. All the time. Especially me.
but just on a screwdriver you would actually use to
I would use it so I'd take the sonic screwdriver and I would put it on these actors and just like all these different noises and then hit their microphone, and they're like, what was that for? It's just sound stuff. Oh, that works? Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was able to take it and put it into this device, and they're like, oh, that's really cool. And I was like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of fun things you can do with the Electro RM app. Yeah, I'll tell people that now they're connected to 56K or something, which is also fun. Works great on Halt and Catch Fire, right?
You were not, yeah, right.
Yeah, that would have been a great speed for Halt.
Siegel, when Siegel walked through that set, Erin Siegel was my first sound mixer when I first started, but he just loved talking all the computer stuff. I loved it.
Well, he started in IT. He was all part of that whole era that was, computers in the 80s, and he was part of BBSs, and he geeked out with all that stuff. So he loved Halt. I mean, he was a sound mixer in seasons 3 and 4. Loved it.
Yeah, he's so happy about it. No, it's fun. It's fun, that kind of thing, because you can see sound to me, the way we set things up, it is a lot like it's not like this amazing Mac I have that I didn't want to throw into the pool 30 minutes ago. It's a lot of rerouting. I feel like we're always. I feel like everyone's mixing. Their mixing cart is either somewhere between the TARDIS, the Millennium Falcon, or the DeLorean. It's an awesome thing when it's working, and you have to be smart when it's not. It's like, okay, this went down. Maybe we can reroute and put through here, and give me 50% power. Like to the microphone. It's like, then I think of power with microphones when it's like, okay, we're too close. So like back that power off, or like lower, like pull that down. That's too hot. And so I always feel like we're on some crazy spaceship that's underappreciated. Always yelled at and always in trouble, and somehow runs all the flying traffic in the air. So, yeah.
Well, it is fun working on sets with you, because you always have a tendency of laughing whenever I'll say, "Hey, can we get that shut down?" And they're like, "Do you even hear that?" And you'll burst out laughing because, of course, difference. And I'm like, "Shut up, you know better." You're laughing.
You were in front of in front of some C stands and stuff, like grip gear that was placed aside. And camera goes, "Hey, Alan, we're gonna need you to get out of the shot there." And you're like, "Well, I figured if you saw, you'd see me, you would see all this gear." "No, we're just seeing you." And it was physically impossible to only be seeing you. It made no sense in any way. Like your head and your body had grip gear behind it and electric gear behind it, and it was like, what? And so the sound guy it's somehow always our fault. And now the thing with me, and this isn't how I should say I would approach jobs, but I know what I do. I know what I loved. I love doing sound. I love acting also, and it's but I love everything that has to do with making a show, making a movie. I think all of it's awesome. And but there's a way I would put my foot down without offending or having to be rude, and you do that great. Like I first ask. I like when I would see people lighting and setting up. I didn't I didn't go, oh, are you going to be doing that? Because I want to put my boom there. It's like I let them do their part, and it was just me seeing my options being cut out. You know, when you see a scene set up, you're like, I'm going to stand right here. Oh, they're going to put that there. All right, well, I'll just move here. Oh, that's there. And you just have to keep finding new spots to the point where I would see what they were doing, and I would say, you know, I'd make sure every now and again I would just walk by and put my hand over everyone's head, like the stand-ins' heads. I wouldn't even like try the boom. I would just do this. And
but you see at least where the shadows are falling at that point.
Yeah, and that way I don't have to. I mean, I don't want to say I was lazy, but I was very. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to make things have to happen that were in the way of other people. I tried to be hidden, you know, and so that way when I had a concern, they haven't heard me complain and nitpick the entire time, and that's the big thing. You know, you got to pick your battle with sound, you know. And because I kept my mouth shut a lot, you know, until I needed it, I would get a lot of cooperation from the gaffers and the key grips and everyone that were maybe possibly in my way. So, you know, I would have, you know, awesome people like Ray Brown, you know, go like, hey guys, you know what, let's just use this part. We don't need all of the floppy. Let's just get that, you know, let's give our sound friends some room, you know. And it was
that's always nice.
Yeah, it's just keeping that friendliness, remembering that we're creating something together. And having that teamwork, and that usually helped me. And now, every now and again, you know, I had to remind people that I'm this, you know, 350-pound, 6'2", you know, person that's been, you know, big guy. So sometimes I would just throw that. You know, if someone threw me a little bit of rudeness, I would say something along the lines of like, you know, I get people that are like, okay, well, can you just hold on a second? I'm sorry, did I just yell at you? It's like, okay, I'm sorry, did I yell at you? I'm still talking to you. I was like, well, no. Okay, I just want you to know that, you know, remember that, and then I would get apologies later, you know, and I would never lose my cool, because as a boom op, we're the face, you know, we're the face of the team, you know, we're the ones that have to talk with the ADs, the camera departments. These are the people that we have to make
everyone on set. Yep.
Yeah, because we will be the redheaded stepchild, and the. Was it in church? I don't know how it works. I don't get
on set, basically.
Yeah, on set. I don't get colloquialisms, but whatever that is, we're that guy, you know. And just having those boom ops who are, you know, they're there, you know, they know their job, you know, they're present, you know, they love it is something that reassures every production. And as a compliment to you, I still think you're I talk about you as a boom op to other shows I'm on and other people, because there's no one who cares about it this much, you know.
Gotcha.
And shares it. It's like, I don't know. You have this way of making it like make me like it. You know, we had this talk once, you and I. We hadn't seen each other for years, and we had that talk at IHOP for like 3 hours. Yeah, 2-3 hours. Yeah.
I was on first unit, you were on second unit, and we're like, you know, I don't think we've ever been on a show both booming at the same time. So after that, we went to IHOP, lost track of time. All of a sudden, the sun's coming up, and we're like, oh crap, I have kids I got to get home to. You have like a shoot that you were going to be doing in like an hour. It's like, oh crap, see you later. It was great.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. But just to be able to talk with someone like that has just been so great. But there's so many things. There's a lot of people that, like, you know they need a boom op, so they just think get someone to stand and then have the microphone like this, you know, this high up from somebody, and then it sounds like this the whole time, and you don't know what happened. You know, well, I bought all the equipment, they told me, and well, how come they shot like this? Or, you know, and you know, the boom operator is the thinker. You know, it's like we have to problem solve and you know figure out a way to be diplomatic and get what we want. You know, it's always a.
And it's also great when people say, well, the last boom operator didn't do it that way. Why is it that you're doing it this way? And it's like, well, you don't compare your camera operators or your key grip or your gaffer that use this particular type of light.
Right.
You know?
There's no, you can't compare. And then my other thought is, well, you don't know what it sounded like. You don't know what, you know, you don't know. So like, oh, our other sound guy, he just like threw wires on and didn't even listen.
Yeah, it could have been too much ambient noise or something and had to play the laws for sound purposes.
Exactly. It's like, well, that's because they were lazy, you know, or that's because, you know, that person actually has an issue with their left shoulder, so they had had to adjust something because they're physically, like, you don't know the reasons, because the thing is, we never see sound, and if you can't see it, it doesn't exist,
Yep.
and that's the thing, and that's the thing that people forget. I try to a lot of, I do I've been doing a lot of these interviews with like local every time I do these conventions, I'll have you have these people that do these podcasts or like local news, and they ask how it started, and what you appreciate most, and I tell people that sound is the thing you can't tell if it's good, but if it's bad,
Oh,
and
yeah, that's exactly right.
and it's one of those things. And a great example of that for me is that I tell people is that movie Chronicle. That the kid, he's recording with his home camera the whole time, and his camera keeps getting upgraded, but the thing that stays the same throughout the entire movie is the audio, because there's no way you'd want to listen to 20 minutes of a movie with with onboard microphones, and there's so in trying to convince people why you need that sound, why you need better sound is so hard, to explain. Well, why
As a matter of fact, many online services that do streaming of video now, they keep the sound at a certain bit rate now to make sure that it doesn't. It used to be that as the video resolution would change up and scale up and down from HD all the way down to 240, it used to be that the audio would change as well. But now they just have it a constant bit rate for sound. That way you don't notice the change as much. It actually distracts people a little bit when you hear the sound. You say, oh, what just happened? Because they think something's popping and cutting out. They notice the error or they notice this video switching more.
Right.
So it's
it's the feeling when you see, I mean, like music and all that, it all plays the effect, and the tone, like the room tone, the world tone, whatever you want to get, that sets a scene. Sometimes you hear it first, like when you hear the brook or you hear like the birds, before the camera reveals what it's seeing. The sound is what takes you there. So you don't want to have like some junk noise to lead you into a scene that is supposed to be this gorgeous thing, and so I think people need to know a lot more about what it takes in this world. It's a fly, and flies, by the way, are the most confusing thing for me as a boom op, because I'd be like, what is that? I wouldn't, like, the first time I was recording a fly, I was like, what are we, like, I was like, is there something, are we like, am I phasing out? Is there something tweaking? It's like, oh, it's a bug, a literal bug.
Or it lands right on the microphone and you're like, please stay there the rest of the take. I don't want to hear that buzz again.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy your stay. I have honey on the top of my mic.
One last question for you here. What was your boom pole model, or what company made your boom pole of choice?
I at the time enjoyed this 18-foot K-Tech, that I liked it because it was sturdy, fast, and because of how I was finding my situations in these run and gun rain things, I found it very easy, light. I was able to always use the knuckles. That's how I held it, like I was like queuing back between things. But no, I really enjoyed the K-Tech. I like the ambient, but your ambient is probably that's the pole I'd probably go for now. When you showed it to me, I was like, oh yeah. And I'll say this, as I was talking with someone earlier about sound stuff, and it's just funny how certain things have left, like out of my mind. I forget certain things about stuff because I used to be, when I was acting, I would try to pay attention to who was wiring me and what they did, and then I was like, you know what? You stopped being sound. Let them do their job. They can handle it. And so my mind is now it's moved in a different direction. But the thing I know most about it is how the cameras can be a slow change, but you want your to getting better. But like if you say you're shooting your own movies, and right now you have a DSLR, and then maybe you want to get a actual proper video camera, and then keep moving up, until you get to your Alexas and Reds and stuff, but the sound is what you want first. I want to make sure I have a good microphone, and good recorder to make sure everything's nice and full. Because to get that down first is a lot harder than.
If it sounds good, it's going to look professional. It's going to look good. If it doesn't sound good, it's going to look amateurish.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us here today on Sound Speeds, Cooper. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much, dude. Thank you.
And for everyone watching, thanks for staying with us. And be sure to stay tuned to Sound Speeds, where we have more sound stories and more sound advice. Have a question you'd like answered or want to add something? Be sure to write it in the comment section down below. You can also make a suggestion for future topics of discussion. Again, comment section down below, or you can email me at soundspeeds@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on future sound advice.